Okay, so we finally have all of the info, all of the buffs that we are getting as Havoc Demon Hunters going into patch 10.1. It took some time for us to actually get these. We were waiting very patiently, but here we are. We finally got them today. So in this video, we're going to go over all the changes that we're getting. So this second box here is the buffs that we got last week. We spoke about these in a previous video. If you want to check that out, link is up in the top right. We will be going over these today as well. And then this top box here, these are the buffs that came in today. So we're going to go over everything and kind of just assess where Havoc is going into the patch, which is coming next Tuesday. It's only a couple days away. So last week, Serrated Glaive now causes enemies hit by a Thorough Glaive to take 20% increased damage from Chaos Strike, in addition to its current effect. We're just going to read through these all quickly and then I'll talk about each one. Accelerating Blade has been renamed to Accelerated Blade. Accelerated Blade now causes Thorough Glaive to deal 60% increased damage, was 20%, and its damage is reduced by 30% for each previous enemy hit. Fodder to the Flame now heals for 20% of maximum health, was 25%. Vault of the Incarnates 4 set, so this is our old tier set. They just kind of nerfed it, so it's not too enticing for us to wear in 10.1 because our tier set in 10.1 kind of sucks. So they had to nerf this one to make sure we don't use this instead. Hey, real quick, I want to tell you guys about my amazing collaboration with Apex PCs. They put together a line of custom Jedith-themed PCs for you to check out. There's 3 different versions. Initiate, for those just starting out or looking for a no-frills, meat and potatoes build that gets the job done. The Illidari, which is a step up and starts to introduce some upgrades that will really take your gaming to the next level. And then finally, the Master, the cream of the crop. This is a hefty boy, or girl, and is totally the one our old master Illidan would use. Trust me, he told me. Apex offers in-depth customization of parts, from major components like graphics card and CPUs, to the more aesthetic options like RGB, colored braided cables, and much more. They even have peripherals like keyboards and mice if you need those too. They also have competitive and affordable financing options, so you don't have to pay for it all at once if you don't want to. If you're looking to pick one of these up, head to the link down in the description and use code Jedith at checkout for up to $250 off your entire order. That's code Jedith, Jedith, at checkout for up to $250 off your entire order. So these were the changes from last week, and this week, today, we got Demon's Bite damage increased by 8%, Demon Blade's damage increased by 8%, Fellblade damage increased by 8%, Chaos Strike and Annihilation damage increased by 8%. Serrated Glaive talent debuff duration increased to 15 seconds and now retains up to 30% additional duration when refreshed, was 10 seconds. Fixed an issue that prevented Chaos Theory's bonus to crit chance from affecting offhand hits of Chaos Strike and Annihilation. Okay, so yeah, these are some pretty good changes. I'm quite content with these. A lot of them are just increasing our single target output, which is definitely the spot that we've been lacking. Not only in Raid though, in Mythic Plus as well, you know, in those situations where maybe it's a Tyran week and we're spending a lot of time on bosses, especially bosses that have no ads, you can really see where we start to fall short. This is also helping our prio damage because in Mythic Plus, right, you're not always just blasting down all the targets at the same time. Sometimes you need to focus a caster or a dangerous mob that needs to die first before everything else. So this will help with that for sure. I will say that a lot of people were hoping for more changes, me included. You know, a lot of people wanted momentum changes, maybe an extension on the duration of the buff. And a lot of people were also hoping for tier set bonus changes because it is pretty lackluster as well. I do think that there is still some time potentially for our tier set to be tuned and balanced, but I would really not count on a redesign at this point. I think something as large as a tier set redesign and a straight up momentum redesign is just not likely at this moment, and we'll probably have to wait until a later patch, so like 10.1.5 or 10.1.7. But either way, we have to take what we can get, and hey, at least we got something. We were acknowledged. We finally got some changes that actually help us here. So let's talk about what the changes kind of mean. So the ones that we got this week, Demon's Bite and Demon Blades increased by 8%. This is fine. A lot of people saw this as like the first thing in the list and they were like, oh, why are they buffing Demon's Bite? You know, they're trying to push Demon's Bite. But no, that's not the case. Demon's Bite and Demon Blades are a choice node, right? Right here, basically you take Demon Blades or you don't take Demon Blades, you take Insatiable, meaning you're pressing Demon's Bite. So they have to balance them equally. By doing that, by keeping them equal, they're essentially just, increasing the damage output of what they already have as a whole and just like raising it up instead of just like bumping one and having it misaligned or unbalanced. They just brought them all up together. So it might seem like a weird thing to you. It's like, okay, why are they buffing Demon's Bite? Nobody plays Demon's Bite. While that's like partially true, there actually are still a lot of people out there who prefer playing with Demon's Bite over Demon Blades. It's just a preference thing. They play with Demon's Bite, even though it is, the worst option. It does less DPS. It's worse for our rotation because it costs GCDs. Us min-maxers, us like pure optimizers, we're not the only ones that play the game. There are a lot of other casual players who also play the game. And for them, they should have the option to choose Demon's Bite if they wish. Now, Fellblade. Fellblade got increased by 8%. So Fellblade is a weird one because it's a button we're starting to press less often, or at least you should be, in single target. So if you're playing a single target raid build that also has isolated prey, you can essentially just substitute Fellblade for Fell Rushing. So you basically never want to press Fellblade in single target if you have isolated prey. So the fact that it got buffed by 8% is kind of strange. Although we do still use Fellblade in our AoE Mythic Plus builds, right? In the Throwglaive build, we're definitely still Fellblading quite a bit. So that adds to our single target output in keys as well. A very minor amount. Now, so the Chaos Strike and Annihilation damage increased by 8%. This is a big one. This was the one I was most excited to see. So towards the start of the last tier, I can't remember when exactly, we had our Chaos Strike damage nerfed by 5%. And that really hurt our raid performance, among a bunch of other things that happened around that time. So this change, getting 8% back, not only gives us that 5% back, but then, a few more percent on top of that, which is good. So with that change in mind, let's move on. And so there was a bug with Chaos Theory that we've had since the start of the expansion, really. And I guess it's finally been fixed. So just to break it down for you real quick, Chaos Strike is 2 hits. Just strange, it doesn't say that in the tooltip, but it is. It's 2 hits. It's a hit with your main hand and a hit with your offhand. Blade Dance causes your next Chaos Strike within 8 seconds to have a 14 to 30% increased crit strike chance and will always refund Fury. So you would press Blade Dance, and then if you pressed Chaos Strike, the buff would only be active for your main hand hit and not your offhand hit. So they did fix that, which is great. Love to see it. This is probably a small increase to our overall DPS. It's nothing insane, but it is definitely just nice to know that it is a bug. It wasn't supposed to act like that, and it's been fixed. So, always good to see. So next, they've updated the Serrated Glaive talent. So in the first update we saw it added Chaos Strike to the effect as well as I-Beam, and that debuff that it would put on the mob lasted for a total of 10 seconds, which made it a little complicated to use because you would have to be refreshing it pretty often, and it didn't have the potential to pandemic. They've changed that now, so you get a full 15 seconds, and it retains up to 30% of its duration when refreshed. Now we can actually, in our single target build, we can actually incorporate it in without it being much of a headache, really. So yeah, this is a great change. Makes it much more usable in single target. I don't exactly know how it's going to fit into our rotation yet. I don't want to give you guys actual rotation lists yet because we're not 100% sure. We still have to do a lot of simming. But what I would expect you would do is you would want to use a Throwglaive before every I-Beam, which would then lead into your Essence Break windows, right? So you're empowering your I-Beam leading into the Essence Break window, then you're also increasing the Chaos Strikes or the Annihilations inside of that Essence Break window. And then when you're outside of Essence Break, obviously you want to still prioritize Death Sweep and Blade Dance, but then, outside of those, underneath those, you want to be tossing out a quick Throwglaive and getting the debuff on the mob while you're pressing Chaos Strike. Pretty simple. Now let's just quickly go over the buffs from last week and talk about them a little bit. So Accelerating Blades was changed to do higher upfront damage and diminish with each bounce of your glaive instead of the other way around. So this gives us a lot more single target and priority damage in Mythic Plus, and it actually affects our Soul Rend in single target quite a bit as well. Soul Rend starts to do a lot more damage in single target on boss fights and priority mobs, and it's doing a lot more of the heavy lifting than it was before, and we actually still do great in AoE because of it, so no complaints there. It's actually a very good change. I like this change probably the most out of all of these. Then there were the Fodder to the Flame adjustments. So there's a couple things that they changed with Fodder. Essentially, it heals for 5% less now, which is understandable. That heal was super powerful, and when used kind of strategically and you planned it out and you timed it, it was insane. It was a great self-heal. And it still is, mind you. The number was just kind of adjusted to be in line with the new changes they made to health, to overall health, to everybody's health, going into patch 10.1. Now, they also changed the Demon Soul. So when you kill the Demon Soul used to spawn a few yards behind the Demon, like where the Demon's back was facing. And now the Demon Soul will always spawn in front of the Demon. So this just makes it a little easier to pick up in kind of single target stationary situations where the Demon might be running towards you and you just toss a quick glaive at it, it dies, and the Demon Soul is literally right by your feet instead of you having to like go and chase it. So it's a pretty decent change. With all of these changes in mind, the change to Serrated Glaive, the change to Chaos Theory, the increase to our Chaos Drake and Annihilation, the increase to our Demon Blades, the increase to our Fell Blade, with all that in mind, you're probably asking, okay, what build are we playing now? What build are we going to play in Raid? What build are we going to play in Mythic Plus? What talents are we swapping? All that stuff. So we don't know yet because we still have a lot of simming to do, and I could give you a build right now, but it probably won't be correct. And I don't want to give you guys false information. I want to make sure that we get everything right before I actually relay that stuff to you. So just be patient. Check back at this channel over the next couple days as we get to sim more. There's actually something odd going on right now with raid bots where the site is frozen and you can't actually sim gear at the moment. So we're waiting for that to get cleared up and we're going to get that all figured out. So just be patient with the builds. I will let you guys know what those builds will be. And yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't think we'll be seeing any more changes for Havoc before the patch comes out on Tuesday. So the real question is, and I want your guys' opinion on this as well, was this enough? Do these buffs solve our problems? So basically my opinion is, while I am happy with the changes kind of affecting our damage profile and balancing it out a bit, because we were really AoE heavy, especially in Mythic Plus, and then our single target was just kind of shit, right? But now it's kind of balanced out, and it just makes us more of an asset to our group. And yeah, I think this is a great start. I think this is it shows that we're headed in the right direction. The wheels are moving, but I do think that we could use a little bit more. As of right now, that kind of napkin math that we've done by people much smarter than me. I say we, but I had nothing to do with it. These guys have kind of figured out that these buffs are about a 3 to 4% increase to our single target, which, isn't terrible. We are still kind of towards the bottom, unfortunately. We're just not as bad as before. And the one thing to remember too is, like, yes, even though we got these buffs and our DPS has gone up 3 to 4%, everyone else got buffs too. Especially this patch, or this tuning pass that happened today on the 28th. A lot of melee classes got buffs. And those buffs, for them, are roughly around the same percent increase, around that 3 to 4% mark. So, even though we are getting buffed, so is everyone else, and it's all relative, right? So ultimately, we're gonna have to wait and see how we do when the raid comes out. And like I said, you can expect more videos over the next couple days, keeping you guys up to date, and we'll figure it out as we go. All right. So if you like this video, give it a like, sub to the channel, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.